To build or not to build? This is a question during building renovations, although a lot of people might not even realize it. Why do we renew buildings? Because the building standards update, the energy efficiency gets lower, and also the people who live in it might be changing and have different needs. What is it that we are renewing? Is it the environment, or do we want to change people's lifestyle? And how can we do it? Is it always by building stuff? This is a former colleagues community in Wuhan, China. Built as national property in 1990s, it's been through the national privatizing housing reform, and the demographics has changed over time. The building blocks sit very close, and there is not much communal space. It does not comply with either the New South Wales or Wuhan standards for building separation, especially for the two blocks sitting next to each other horizontally. For the green infrastructure and communal spaces, only the tree canopy target in New South Wales standards is reached. Although the potential communal space is abundant, there is almost no facilities. Plus, the spaces are scattered around. They're functioning poorly as communal spaces. The backyard is filled with construction waste and discarded furniture. However, some residents have set up some small private farms and gardens. In terms of the intervention, to incorporate the considerations above, the idea is to remove and rebuild the corner block on top of the east block. So there will be room for a central gathering communal spaces where various facilities can be introduced and shared. With good communications with the residents beforehand, this method may be used for slab blocks or walk-ups to deal with high density and lack of ground floor communal spaces at the same time.
The teachers' apartment tower was built in 1995, located in the Qiushi community where in the central plot of Hangzhou City. Qiushi community was designed by Zhejiang University for the accommodation of teachers, staff, and their families. Qiushi community is a typical, highly aging community. There are many retired teachers and professors living in the community. Currently, there are many elderly live alone or living with their families. The typical floor plan showing each story has 8 flats, mainly are 2-bedroom apartments. The case study plan showing too much closed spaces which reduce accessibility and no total freedom of movement, such as narrow kitchen, washing machine installed in the bathroom, study desk and cabinet are placed too close to bed. There is no private open space. Residents have to dry clothes and grow plants outside the window. The interior layout did not satisfy the current needs, also lack of spaces for second need. The Zhejiang Guide outlines the daylight factor requirements for specific rooms. The case study did not comply with the standards. The existing flat has poor daylight conditions and no external sun shading device. The New South Wales and Zhejiang Guides both require all habitable rooms should allow natural ventilation. The New South Wales Guide specified design criteria for cross ventilation, where the local guide didn't cover. The current apartment did not comply with the New South Wales Guide, all rooms with single openings and no any cross ventilation. The renewal design strategy regards to accessibility, indoor comfort, flexibility, and social inclusion. The renewal interior layout design based on circulation access. Bedrooms are separated by the living area with a folding wall. At daytime, it can be fully opened, allows cross ventilation, and provide higher accessibility, especially for elderly and disabled people. Bathroom and kitchen are separated by the corridor with a sliding wall for saving door space and allows for cross ventilation. For flexibility, the walls became systems of furniture of different typologies based on different needs. Enlarge opening size to improve daylight and natural ventilation. Additional terrace for residents' needs such as outdoor dining, dry clothes, grow plants. At each story, adding a shared space for enhance the social interaction between neighbors. Additional lifts for improve the vertical accessibility. The aim is to create a better and more healthy indoor environment for living of all ages.
The third case study is the Alawi bin Sumait House in Sibam, Yemen. This is a walk-up residential building in an Islamic community. It's a World Heritage building due to its location in the 1,700-year town of Shibam. All buildings in Shibam are considered World Heritage for their unique ancient mud brick high-rise buildings. In order for one to understand the Ali bin Sumait house, one has to first understand the whole Shibam community, as it's a very interconnected one. The Shibam community was looked at in comparison to the Australian one. As it can be seen, the population, economy, and human development index are much lower compared to that of Australia. And these are one of the key things that have influenced the guidelines that dictate how the architecture and the housing is carried out within both these communities, with the Shibang producing the local design guidelines and Australia producing the New South Wales apartment design guidelines. The context in which the Ali bin Sumait house stands was looked at in comparison to the New South Wales apartment design guidelines. And from this it was seen that the community of Shibang is condensedly packed to maximize space. But according to the New South Wales apartment design guidelines, buildings should be a minimum of 6 meters away from neighboring habitat buildings. In regards to thermal comfort, the local design guidelines utilize natural ventilation through the large operable windows that also produce adequate lighting. However, the New South Wales design guidelines ask that the building be oriented accordingly to maximize natural ventilation. This is impossible to do in the Alawi bin Sumait house, as it's already densely compact and cannot be oriented accordingly. In addition, the room heights are 2.5 meters because the rooms have no furniture due to cultural traditions, and this is because most activities are done while seated, such as cooking and celebration. However, according to the New South Wales apartment design guidelines, habitable building heights should be 2.7 meters. In conclusion, through the analysis of the Alawi bin Sumait house within Shibam, it was concluded that retrofitting a World Heritage building does not necessarily mean to physically alter the structure. This can be retrofitted through occupancy preservation in community engagement that highlights the town's heritage values to the custodians. And this can be done in the Alawi bin Sumait house through utilizing rooftops for safe, open, connected communal activities.
For these 3 case studies, the toolkit ranges from removing and rebuilding forms, age-friendly interior redesign, to a community rooftop revitalizing approach, which does not include any structural changes. To build, to alter, and to protect. These seem to be very different ways of renovations, but they have one common methodology, which is renewing the environment according to people's lifestyle. That is, to make buildings adapt to people, and not the other way around. Maybe renovation is not always about building or changing. Maybe it's more about the constant evaluation of whether the building can still adapt to people's lifestyle. Either to build or not to build, whichever way that makes the building best adapt to people's life is the most sustainable way. Thank you for watching.